brothers, but not by birth. Family, but not by DNA. Dave and Adam are two of a kind, and they wanna borrow some of your day to talk into your ear holes about midi-chlorians and roller coasters. Those two things are unrelated, but so are they. They're unrelated at birth, like most people who aren't related. Unrelated at birth, but they're brothers in a brotherly way. Now it's time for the phenomenal brother and the golden voice of the South. They're brothers from different mothers, but they're both really proud to be unrelated at birth.
Dearest listener, the news here at camp is gleeful and filled with much joy. After the somber note of last night and the not knowing if we're going to make it through the night and fearing the atrophy of the internets would set in, the news is much better this morning as we were awoken. The camp was awoken to the sounds of Pandora coming from our phones and high-speed internet coming from everywhere. Dear listener, we don't have to fear the worst. We have made it through the storms. We are here in the land of Wi-Fi once more to bring you Unrelated at Birth. I have always been your obedient servant, D. Adams.
That was sweet.
Do you like
your internet was coming from everywhere?
Well, yeah, Wi-Fi is all around us.
Yeah, that's true. I'll give you that.
Well, I was trying to. Yeah,
it was pouring forth.
I had glorious Ken Burns style music behind me. I felt like it was a good period piece. I had to match the music.
I like that. It reminded me, it was very Valley Forge.
That's what I was going for, actually.
Yeah. You're in the tent with all hope is lost. We've resorted to eating our horses.
Yes.
Like they say in Hamilton. And then all of a sudden you see that one light on the router light up. And your whole life returns to normal.
For me, the router was still lighting up.
For anybody that doesn't know, we didn't record last night, and the show is one day late because Dave lost internet last night. If you didn't see the live, and you didn't see the post.
So I did it in that style because I wrote the whole Hope is Lost Hamilton Valley Forge style.
I like it.
Yeah. But I feel bad now after I posted that and we were making fun of it. The reason my internet was out was because of the Nashville tragedy.
Was it really?
Yeah, the hub for Wildnology, whatever you have, whatever it's called now, is actually in Nashville. Really quick, before we get into that, Golden Voice of the South, Dave Adams, Human Jukebox, top of the state of Alabama, Madison, Alabama, all the good things. Phenomenal brother, Adam Joseph Russell, middle of the state of Florida, St. Cloud, House of Mouse. Oh, boy. Anyway. You like my Mickey there?
No.
Okay.
It was a good try, though.
Gosh. But we do have to pause for a moment. Nashville is always going to hold a special place in my heart. I know you've never been up there. Or if you have, it's been a long time.
I've driven past Nashville one time.
Right. But because of our love for country music, Nashville will always hold a special place in our hearts. I have some very dear friends that live in Nashville. We have to say we believe in Nashville. Nashville, we need to pray for Nashville. We need to do everything we can for Nashville. For those that don't know, Monday night, there was a very bad tornado that went through basically downtown Nashville.
Yeah.
It was just a little north of it, but the actual We Believe in Nashville sign was on a building called Basement East. It is where Sup Graps Wrestling, a bunch of places have their facility. It was destroyed. Luckily, nobody was in the building at the time. The last count,
the I Believe in Nashville mural is still up.
It's still there.
Amazingly enough, yeah.
Yeah, the last count I've seen is 22 casualties.
Yeah.
Countless missing.
Yeah, I saw James Spann posted something that said they haven't done the official assessment of width and all that yet, but they said that it was on the ground for 50 miles.
Yeah.
That's a beast, man.
It is. I mean, it's bad. That's basically the Tuscaloosa to Birmingham tornado from April 27 of 11.
Yeah.
So Alabama feels you, Tennessee. I am not a fan of the state of the College of Tennessee, and we everybody knows that. That's not the biggest secret on this show. But I saw the most apropos post on Facebook today. Said, for those of you who have just moved to Tennessee and you see this tragedy, you're about to find out why we're called the volunteer state.
Yeah.
And that is something that could be said about the residents of Tennessee, residents of the South. Resiliency and community is something that I know is alive and well in Nashville and in Tennessee. So our hearts go out to the people of Nashville. We pray for the people of Nashville. In fact, I'm going to do something that we've only done once on this show.
Okay.
I'm going to say, hey, let's bow our heads. Let's say a quick prayer for the people in Nashville, if you don't mind.
Go ahead. Do it.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the ability to have our voices be heard and to be free to say what we want, how we want, and pray to who we want. God, we know that you are all powerful. We know that all good and powerful things come from you. We also know that you control the storms. You control the good, the bad. Lord, we know that these storms, there was a purpose for these storms. And Lord, I pray that somewhere in the hurting, there is healing. And Lord, I know that the only way people can heal physically, emotionally, however, Lord, is through you. I pray that your hand will be on the city of Nashville. Your hand will be on those that have experienced loss. Pray that their lives will be just healed, and pray that going forward that they can praise you, and as the song says, they can praise you in the storm. I know that's kind of a hokey line that's in a song, Lord, but there's so much to that line. God, I pray that you'll let the words that come out of mine and Adam's mouth in this next 45 minutes just be pleasing to you and help edify and maybe brighten some other people's day. God, we thank you and we love you. We pray all this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Thank you all for bearing with me. If you're driving, please, I hope you didn't close your eyes.
So you forgot to introduce some other people, Dave.
I did, but we had to go into that Nashville feel.
Okay. Well, introduce the rest of our crew.
Well, do you want to do 2 of them and I will do 3 of them?
You do all of them.
I will do all of them. Okay, so we've got some patrons that I said that at least once a month you will get a special shout out and you will get a special email from 2 certain email addresses. Dave at Unrelated at Birth and Adam at Unrelated at Birth. We have yet to do those. So we will get on that and you will have that by the end of the week. Jeff Kramer, thank you for being part of the show. Sherry Matz, thank you for being part of the show. Now, if we can get you to call in, you'd even be more part of the show. Michael Watts, thank you for being part of the show.
Big Mike.
Big Mike. Virgil Russell, thank you for being another part of the show. And Kathy Russell, thank you for being part of the show. You can now say you're in the game.
With the fastest growing podcast
for the fastest growing podcast.
The fastest growing podcast with 2 hosts that are in Alabama and Florida.
No, probably not. The fastest growing podcast in the Unrelated at Birth studio.
Oh, I like that. There you go.
There you go.
I like that.
All right, Adam. What are we talking about tonight?
We mentioned it on the live tonight on
I'm
ABC.
scared.
A dude walked a tightrope over a volcano, but we are not going to talk about him. We're actually going to do our own high wire act over a volcano ourselves. We're going to delve into politics.
I don't want to.
But I am not going to open this up to where we share any opinions or go on any get off my lawn rants about any particular candidate, except for one, because I want to start off this political conversation recapping a fascinating discussion, or at least fascinating to me, that I had with you over text the other day. In the Alabama Senate race, you have Jeff Sessions, Mr. Recusal himself, running against Tommy Tuberville, it looks like now in a runoff. Will just those two be in the runoff?
Just those two, Bradley Byrne, and thank goodness Roy Moore no longer is in the running.
So now for the Senate seat, you have a choice between Jeff Sessions and Tommy Tuberville. And the quote that you made, or that you gave me when I asked, are you going to vote for Tubbs on Super Tuesday, was a very emphatic no.
Right.
And so I assume then that when we get around to March, whatever, when this runoff happens, that your answer, what's that?
I actually won't be able to vote in the runoff. I'll be in Disney.
You can't do it like absentee ballot?
Dang it.
Do your civic duty, Dave. And so if you were to fill out an
absentee person,
if you were to fill out a absentee ballot, the Tommy Tuberville box would still remain unchecked, I assume.
I have a very hard time with those two.
Okay.
I do. I have ultimate issues against both of them. And so, I will let me first go into my issues with Jeff Sessions. I'm a big proponent of, this is probably one of the most non-GOP views I have. I'm a Republican. I'm a very moderate Republican. But the biggest non-GOP moderate view I have is I'm a big proponent of term limits. Jeff Sessions had his term. He's been there since Hal Heflin. And he's been there.
That's a while.
That's a long time. Hal Heflin was a Dixiecrat.
Yeah.
For those of you who know your history, Hal Heflin he was there in the 50s.
Yeah.
So we went Hal Heflin to Jeff Sessions. Jeff, you've had your time. Also, you've been fired by Donald Trump. I understand.
Who hasn't at this point, though?
Right, exactly. But Jeff Sessions, to me, he might have been he recused himself because he didn't want to perjure himself. So that's a plus and a minus to me. I applaud him for not perjuring himself.
Yep.
But then I also wonder, to quote our favorite musical, if you stand for nothing, Burr, then what will you fall for?
Yeah. So on one side, you have very well thought out, very rational and reasonable political reasons why you would possibly not vote for Jeff Sessions.
Okay.
So on the other hand, walk us through your rationale for not voting for Tommy Tuberville.
He lives in Florida.
Okay.
He has big ears. He coached for Auburn.
Okay.
He walked into Bryant-Denny Stadium and said, "Fear the thumb," and left the frickin' stadium, walked right past me, holding his stupid little thumb up, and I wanted to break it off of him.
So are those in order of importance, or are the ears and the Florida thing less important than the Auburn coach feared the thumb?
I plead the fifth.
So you would say that in no certain order.
Right.
These are your reasons. Okay, got it. I think that is absolutely fascinating that football means that much in the state of Alabama.
Adam,
it's fascinating to me.
Let me ask you this.
Sure.
If Steve Spurrier were to run for Senate in the state of Florida, from the Orange County, whatever county, St.
Yeah, our
Cloud is in,
district. Yeah.
would you be able to separate the Florida coach from the politician? Because you know the type of person he was as the Florida coach.
I do. So I actually,
and that's the same thing I'm suffering with the Tuberville versus the political Tuberville versus the coach Tuberville.
I actually, and we forget, even Blair brought this up, Tuberville was at Ole Miss too. I had forgotten all about that.
I guess this was Tuberville. I guess I'm going to have to come out and say it. You're going to have to take me away from Ole Miss in a pine box.
And then he left in a car.
Right. Exactly.
with a moving van, in cardboard boxes. Yeah, I think here's the thing though. I would say to that, and this is exactly why we started the show, for discussions just like this. I love it. I would actually vote for Steve Spurrier, because I would love to see him on the Senate floor give one of his just signature Spurrier speeches. I would actually love to see that. I think that kind of being a winner, he knows how to win. He did it with the Gators, with the Apollos, not so much with the Redskins, but he knows how to win. So he's got that vote, but B, that I really don't care what anybody thinks about me, attitude. I would love to see him unleashed on Washington, D.C. So I would actually, in that case, vote for Steve Spurrier.
Okay, so Steve Spurrier, But I think it's different between Tommy Tuberville and Steve Spurrier. I think that would be apples and oranges a little bit, because I don't know that Tuberville has that same approach. Because Spurrier never actively in the middle of Bryant-Denny Stadium. Of course, he never played or coached that much at BDS.
Yeah,
but Spurrier never actively in the middle of Bryant-Denny Stadium taunted the fans and the team and all that stuff. I'm trying to think. Okay. Ed Ogeron.
See, again, I would vote for him because I want to see him.
Want to hear that.
I want to see him on the floor of the Senate saying, "We've got to solve the boardwalk climate change." I would pay money for that.
But I mean, it's that attitude that he had after he beat Alabama at Bryant-Denny Stadium in the
yeah.
If you can say that,
I don't know why. So we'd put Philip Fulmer up there too, right? We would put Philip Fulmer in there. I would put Jackie Sherrill in there.
I agree with you.
Blast from the past, because when you started talking, let's make a comparison. The first person that popped into my head that I would not vote for in that situation, I don't know why, but Jackie Sherrill popped into my head, back from Mississippi State.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I agree with you. It's that. Yes, if it came down to it, I can definitely separate politics from football.
Yeah,
no problem, because that is two totally different. I mean, look at Osborne of Nebraska.
Tom Osborne.
He went on to be one of the best senators from the state of Nebraska.
Yeah.
What happened to your camera there?
How about sorry.
So there are some good examples, and I am sure. Well, no, because Nebraska doesn't have a in-state rival. But I am sure that if they did, that people can say, okay, yes, let's lay down football rivalries and then look at politics.
Yeah.
But let's be 100% honest. I am not putting down people in the state of Alabama. I'm not. Yeah. So when I say this, realize that we have a big enough problem in the state where voters only see R and only see D.
Yeah, that's true. That's in every state, though.
Well, no, it's especially prevalent here in Alabama because, okay, walking that tightrope again. 2 years ago, when Walt Maddox was the governor or the mayor of Tuscaloosa, was running against Kay Ivey. Kay Ivey is old. She is set in her ways. She was not the greatest governor to take over for old Robert Bentley.
Yeah.
And Walt Maddox was the better candidate. But because Kay Ivey would not do a debate against Walt Maddox, people didn't take the initiative enough to go and learn about the candidates.
Yeah.
Kay Ivey won because she had that R next to her name, where Walt Maddox had that D next to his name. If we have a state where it's R and D, Republican and Democrat, and we're not a purple state, we're a straight up red state.
Yeah.
And I'll admit it. I voted for Doug Jones 2 years ago when Jeff Sessions was out because I wasn't going to vote for Roy Moore.
Yeah.
So I have voted Democrat in the past, and I will I will again if I have to. I don't want to vote for Doug Jones again this time. In November, but you're going to have a problem with 90% of the Alabama fans who see Tommy Tuberville and they have the same first initial thought that I have: fear the thumb at Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? I mean, tell me I'm wrong, and I'll change my mind.
I don't think you're wrong at all. I just I don't know. I can't say that I know what vision that that Tuberville has shared that he has. What's he going to do?
I haven't seen any of his.
What's his platform? So I don't know if he's running off a name recognition or not. But if he put a good enough platform out there, I would hope that dividing line would be able to be there. I do think, though, that I agree with you, and we said we weren't going to share too many opinions, but I think everybody kind of agrees that term limits is something that has to happen at some point.
Needs to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got people, the Alabama senators right now, the big one, Richard Shelby. I mean, he has done amazing things for Huntsville. I can't say how good he's done for my city.
Yeah.
Because of NASA, because of everything that's come through Huntsville, all the Army stuff, everything. But I've got to look this up. He has been in office for a lot more.
Yeah, it's true.
Time than he should.
That is true.
I'm looking it up now. By the way, I'm getting a text message from Carrie. It says, take off work on Friday and come toy hunting with us. He was first elected to the U.S. Senate in 1986.
Wow.
He assumed office in 1987. 1987.
Yeah.
I wasn't 10. I was 6. I'm 38 now. I turn 39 next month. That should be a term limit.
Yeah.
If your president only has 4 to 8 years, and the only people that should have lifetime achievements or lifetime in office is Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And even those justices step down because they say, hey, I'm getting too old for this crap.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless your name's Ruth Bader Ginsburg or people who die in.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, and you talk about like the R and the D. I do think we're subject to that a little bit too in Florida, because I think if you look at a person like, I'm trying to pick a name that everybody could probably agree on, but Alan Grayson down here, he had a lot of just weird campaign slogans, off the wall stuff. He's about as predictable as Biden seems to be these days. And I say that just because of the gaffes. The guy makes a bunch of gaffes. I'm not saying anything about him as a person, but when you look at that, I mean, people saw the D next to his name, and he was out there saying the craziest stuff, man. Like, it didn't even make any sense. And the D next to his name and the district he was running in was heavily Democratic, and, he won. And I still don't know how that he served as long as he did. But yeah, it is hard for that D and that R to get erased, and where people can look at it. And honestly, I think we're getting a little bit, I think everything's leaning to where the D and the R are so diametrically opposed now, almost mutually exclusive, that there probably was a little bit of like Walt Maddox D versus a KIVR. You could have probably said he was more of an independent or a moderate instead of just a Democrat.
Yeah, exactly.
But, I mean, it's almost now where D and R really are the delineations, and there's no middle ground,
Yeah.
And that's the interesting thing to see what happens with Bernie overall for me, is that, he's registered as a Democrat for the purposes of the primaries,
but he's not.
Truly, he's an independent. And, you've got now what it's whittling down now. And I'm glad we waited to talk about this until after Super Tuesday, because now you're whittling down to where you've got Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and Joe Biden. And honestly, I don't know how Warren's still. I'm talking about actually in the race. I'm talking who hasn't actually suspended their campaign. And Warren, it's just a matter of time for her. I think
here's the question though.
I think at this point she's probably staying in it to prove her chops to be the second on the ticket more than anything else.
I don't think
she's not getting enough delegates to win the nomination. That's for sure.
I don't think she's going to be second on that ticket.
Well, I think she's trying to show that she could be. I think she's trying to get her name out there so people will request that she is, and kind of like, push whoever gets the nomination to do that. But so it's really a 2-horse race at this point. And you've got an establishment guy and an independent.
Yeah.
And it'll be fascinating to see between now and the convention what happens, because the political process alone, regardless of who it is, the whole primary thing is just fascinating to me. Between delegates and super delegates and primaries and caucuses. And I mean, this is the most important decision our nation makes every 4 years. And no state has consistent rules, and nothing really can be predicted. I don't think they've even called California. At least they hadn't as of when I got home from work earlier today.
Really?
And, yeah.
Because I thought they've already given Bernie those.
Well, they've allocated some, but they rely in California evidently on a lot of mail-in votes and early voting. So they're having to go back and bring those in. And that's when they'll finish the California tally. So the whole thing just is fascinating. Just amazing the system we've set up in this country.
The fact that somewhere in the ballpark of 26 men in 1789 or 1786 came up with this system.
Yeah.
Roughly. I mean, it's not this system. I mean, there were
the whole electoral college idea. Yeah.
Yeah. 26 men in a room that hated each other came up with this system.
Yeah.
I mean, they hated each other, and that's what makes me tightrope. That's what makes me mad. I hate that you brought this topic up.
What makes you mad?
Okay. Hamilton and Monroe hated each other, but they came together for the greater good to get the Constitution ratified.
Yeah.
Trump and Pelosi hate each other, but they can't do a thing for the greater good of this country.
Yeah.
If Hamilton and Monroe almost came to duels, and they can handle each other,
and that's what I hate about it, the whole situation right now, honestly. And I think everybody can vent equally on this, regardless of which side of the aisle your beliefs tend to lean, is that, you've got literally almost a stalemate right now, where the House is in the hands of one party, the Senate's in the hand of the other party, and that you got veto power in the White House. So literally nothing's going to come out of the House that's going to get passed by the Senate. And even if it did, it wouldn't make it past the Senate. And even if it did, it would get vetoed by the president.
Yeah.
And it's literally just like almost a stalemate. There are real problems. And what I hate the most is if you look back at the way the coronavirus thing is unfolded, and you look at the rhetoric alone, it started off where everybody was in the news saying that this was an opening for the Democrats, and this was a chance for them to, Trump had to handle this right, or he was going to hurt his election chances. And then as soon as anybody on the other side says anything back, they're like, well, you can't politicize this. This is a health issue. And it's just this constant between both sides. Nobody, here's the thing about it. Nobody's right. Two wrongs do not make a right. And there's not even a side that can say that they're doing the right thing here. And if we can't even have something like an epidemic that could potentially be a significant health emergency in this country, and we can't even look at that and say, I mean, it literally, you look at our political process, a week could make a huge difference here. And it took the House that long to come up with a bill. It's like, does it really take us that long? Does it really? I mean, there should have been something on the floor drafted within 2 days, and the next day was up for a vote. And I know there's policies and procedures, blah, 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 blah. But when it's your Supreme Court candidate or their Supreme Court candidate that you want to block, you change the rules all the time in the Senate.
Right.
And in the House. And when it comes to something like this, it's just incredible the amount of time it takes. I mean, there are times my boss asks me for something and they want it yesterday. We, the American people, should demand from all of these people, whether they're Republican or Democrat, we ask for solutions to these problems yesterday. No more fighting. Let's get to it. I mean, we honestly haven't seen significant progress in several of the major categories. I think the economy is the only thing that has seen its share of swings in action because Trump's a financial guy. He's a business guy. The economy is what he understands.
Right. And I hate that the term drain the swamp has been met with such great fight and pushback, because what we need to do is drain the swamp. And I'm not saying that when it comes to draining the swamp of Republicans or just Democrats or whatever. Drain the freaking swamp. Fire everybody.
It's the
start over from
procedures and what do they call it? I can't think of the word. Filibustering. It's all of that kind of stuff that, it serves a purpose, but it's used every time. I mean, it's like today you see in the news today, you see Chuck Schumer in front of the Supreme Court.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And whether what he said is right, wrong, or indifferent, then the Republicans are like, oh, you can't say that to the Supreme Court justices. That sounds like violence. And the Democrats are saying words are not violence. But if someone else says that, then words are violence. And it's just Nobody has a standard. The whole standard we exist by today. And I'm trying not to go off on a rant. The whole standard that this country has started to exist by today is the other side is wrong, no matter what, regardless of prior history. Now, don't lean back. I'm done. That's the only point that I've gotten to the point on our show where I feel like I can sum up my points more succinctly.
What? No,
I told you I wasn't going to rant on this, but I've
got 8% left on my
on your headphones.
Yeah.
You better hurry. But it's just like the other side's always wrong, no matter what. That's the state we exist in all the time now, and it's a shame.
It is. It's horrible, and it needs to go away. Hey, that won't work either. Okay, I'm scrambling here. So, hey, vamp for a second, Adam.
Vamp for a second, really? I'm going to give the play-by-play of what I see on the video. There's Dave. He's fumbling with his headphones and trying to plug the cord in, but he can't because he had too much caffeine in the coffee that he drank earlier. So his hands are a bit jittery. Oh, he's shaking. He's shaking. Did you get it plugged in?
I think. Yes. Okay? Yeah, I can hear you. But the cord. I'm a little.
Please hold while we fix these technical difficulties of Dave getting tangled up in the cord. What happened with the cord?
Well, it's short.
Oh, okay.
And please don't unplug the surge protector.
You're gonna have to do this show hunched over. Let's just be a lesson for you kids. Always plug in your headphones when you're not using.
Send them to the question of the week.
All right, guys.
Virgil asked a question.
I don't know. Here we go for this week, guys.
What defensive mechanism does a Texas horned lizard use? Not a horned frog, but a Texas horned lizard use.
So does he shoot blood? Is that?
Did you know that? I knew the answer to that one.
I think I remember hearing that somewhere.
So I knew.
I don't know why.
I had heard that it was So I think the key inflection in the question was not a horned frog, because I know a lot of people said like somebody did an alternate of TCU's helmet, and it had something to do like with blood shooting out of the eyes or something like that. And it's not actually the horned frog; it's the horned lizard that he's saying does that.
Okay, now I got to Google. Is there a difference between the horned frog and the horned lizard?
They're two separate. Yes.
Hold up now. That's a freaky looking animal.
So actually, it says the horned frog does the same thing too. But it's fascinating because what it actually is it says that its final defense response is to shoot blood from flooded sinuses and out its eye sockets. As a result, the predator is often frightened and flees. And the lizard also uses this mechanism to remove foreign particles from the surface of its eyes. Thank the good Lord for tear ducts. Because I can't imagine, oh man, I got something in my eye. Give me a second. Right out of the.
So basically it lives in the South. I can shoot things out of my sinuses every 5 seconds in the South in the spring.
I use a Navage now, and they're not a sponsor, but they should be. Because I use that. You've seen the thing. You stick it in your nose and it pushes through one side and sucks the water out of the other, Yeah, and it collects everything down in like this reservoir.
One of those neti pot crap things?
It's like a battery-powered neti pot, yeah. And so I was getting really bad. That sound alone, holy cow. I was getting really bad congestion from allergies, and I got one of those, and it has made all the difference in the world.
Mr. Russell.
But I used it one time and I blew one side of my nose and it made my other ear like sound wet and then water shot out from like the inside of my eye.
Do we need to talk about allergies?
Allergies.
You don't live in the South anymore.
Dude. Everything. So here's what happens. Here's what happens. It gets to like 19 up there, and then it gets in the 50s, and then it gets in the 20s. Down here, it goes 35. By the time you're in the afternoon, it's in the 70s. And everything's like, oh, spring is here in January. Boom. And everything blooms at the same time.
Do you have, what kind of pollen do you have? Does your car stay yellow?
Yes, it does.
The whole year?
Yeah, pretty much. This is the
If you live in the state of Florida.
Okay, the cultural South is different than the physical South. I'm more South than you are, Dave. I live in the middle of basically a reclaimed swamp.
Yes. Okay. So, but
you
see, I went
seen the oak pollen. You know, those little wormy
things. Florida,
things
and my sinuses clear up. Like when I'm in Florida.
Oh, see, that's different. That's called the placebo effect.
No, it's not.
Yes,
no, it's not.
Is.
You have different.
You have
different.
Like, oh, I am on a cloud. I'm so happy. You just don't notice.
You have different pollen. You have different pollen up there.
Okay, that doesn't mean I'm not allergic to it.
Okay, fine. You're not going to win this debate. Our spring is worse than your spring.
Meadows, oak trees, all that kind of stuff. Those little sticky bushes things, you know.
Little sticky bushes.
Sticky bushes.
Sticky
palmettos.
Bushes. I thought palmetto was the thing in South Carolina because there's a palmetto state.
Palmetto, yeah.
Y'all got them in Florida?
Yeah. Plants exist everywhere.
Fine. Anyway, speaking of everywhere, there's some new viruses down in your neck of the woods, isn't there?
Kind of. Yeah, about an hour and a half away. There's 3.
No, near your parents.
Yeah, close to them. Yeah. Over there, very near our summer retreat. So
you're going to be there next week, aren't you?
Yeah. No,
2 weeks.
No, we're at Cabana Bay in 2 weeks. We're at
I thought you're going to the other place.
That's the summer retreat. Spring break is typically universal. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it is up there, but it's like all the alcohol sold out, all the Lysol sold out, toilet paper and water are starting to be sold out because in Florida,
toilet paper.
Now listen, in Florida, when we think emergency, we think toilet paper, water, canned goods, and batteries because we think hurricane. And so literally, you see toilet paper gone. The thing that makes me laugh though is first it was the masks.
Toilet paper,
I know. So first it was the masks, then it was the hand sanitizer, and then word got out that you could make your own hand sanitizer. And so now all of the aloe gel and alcohol is completely gone from any store you go into. Just those two things are empty on the shelves.
Well, the alcohol needs to be gone in any store anyway. Because I'd be buying that instead of.
It's funny. I went into Walgreens to get something else today, and all they had left were 4 bottles of wintergreen scented 70% isopropyl alcohol. That's all they had. Every other bit of alcohol. But somebody bought that and is going to make wintergreen hand sanitizer out of it. And I would love for that person to come on the show and tell me what it smells like when you smell like wintergreen on your hands.
Wintergreen? I mean, you chew wintergreen gum?
But like if you have alcohol, which already has a smell, and wintergreen, which already has a smell, and aloe gel, which already has a smell, and you mix all of that together, I don't know how that could possibly work out in your favor.
Aloe green?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Aloe green. There you go. That's the smell.
Because they say, but I have a question for you. Hang on. So they say 99% isopropyl alcohol, and you mix that 2/3 a cup of that with a cup of aloe gel, and it makes hand sanitizer that's about 65 to 70% isopropyl alcohol, which is effective against this. If bourbon is what percent is bourbon? Can you get it like the 50s or 60s with bourbon?
Oh yeah, I mean the stuff I drink. I mean, I've got a bottle in my collection that's 129 proof.
So that's almost 65.
115%. Well, it would be 65%. Yeah,
65. So you could pour that on your hands as an effective means of sanitizing your hands. Why not?
No, because I paid way too much.
So let me ask you this: if the person next to you had the corona, and they looked at you and sneezed on your hand, and you had that bottle of bourbon, would you pour that bourbon on your hand if you didn't have any soap, any water, any hand sanitizer available? See, this is
correct.
When I told
the correct answer is yes.
What's the actual answer, though?
Yes.
Oh man,
Mom.
this is my best stuff. Yeah, right.
It's not my best stuff, but it's
funny
not
because
cheap.
when we said we were going to talk politics and coronavirus, you picture something different in your head than Tommy Tuberville and ineffective hand sanitizer. But I told you it was going to be okay. See?
Well, I know, but you made me walk a tightrope a couple of times there, and I don't like walking those tightropes.
Amen.
So let me ask you this, Adam.
Yeah.
WDW has, or WDI, because this isn't Walt Disney World, they have already shut down 2 of their parks, right?
That's not even WDI. So those 2 parks are run actually by the local government.
Okay. So, but Shanghai and Tokyo, right, are both shut down.
They are, yes.
Okay. So 2 of the 5.
Let's see.
At least at one point in time, I know Tokyo was talking about closing.
I think, Hong Kong Disneyland is too, so it's 3.
3 of the 5. Wait.
No, there's
6.
You have Disneyland, Disney World, Paris, Shanghai,
Hong
Tokyo,
Kong.
Hong Kong. 6.
Okay, 6. So half.
Mm-hmm.
Half of the Disney parks are closed.
Mm-hmm.
There are now 3 cases in Tampa,
Mm-hmm.
right down the street from
Not
the
right
world.
down the street, but yes.
Well, I mean,
I understand
come
the
on.
sentiment. Yes.
What does it take for the world to shut down?
Honestly, I don't know. One thing I am impressed by, I think Governor DeSantis has done a really good job of sharing information. They have daily briefings and all of that. I think the benefit we have over here is we saw it coming in the States. We knew that something was eventually going to come. We knew how to quarantine. We knew how to test. And we haven't, no state really has their full testing capability up yet. But I think all the isolation and self-quarantine and kind of, I don't want to say paranoia. I'll say informed concern that has taken hold here.
Sure. We'll call it that.
Yeah, there you go. It has, I think that it has people taking the steps that they need to take to try to keep it as minimal as possible.
Okay.
I think the other side of it too is that there's 2 strains. They're saying there's 2 strains going around. One is a mild strain and one is a more intense strain. And I think it all depends too on which cases did they have. And do they have any pre-existing conditions? Because if all of the people they've identified in Florida traveled to Italy, like there's a known connection to a hotspot. There's no community spread. And I think if you started to see community spread with thousands of cases in a lot of counties in Florida, then I don't think it's just a Disney World thing. I think it's a airport theater, it's a anybody thing. Does anybody consider doing something at that point? But I think as long as they keep being smart about this, or at least they're giving the appearance of being smart, I don't know that we are staring that reality in the face at this point.
So my fear right now is that,
and that's not me speaking on behalf of anybody. That's me saying across the board, like I said, for any attraction, whether it's any gathering place of people, even churches, I think everybody has to just keep their eye on it and make an informed decision. But I think at this point, given the tactics and stuff that they've rolled out, I don't think we have to try. So
I am saying that more. So WrestleMania is in Tampa, the place ground zero for those 3 cases right now.
Yeah.
The fact that WWE hasn't canceled WrestleMania or postponed WrestleMania, I'm a little shocked. I figured that they would be quick on the trigger to maybe even postpone. I know they're not going to cancel because that's their Daytona 500. That's their Super Bowl. What I am most concerned right now about this coronavirus is what news media is talking about, because news media is talking like it's martial law is running in the street. It doesn't matter if you're watching Fox News, CNN, wherever. It's talking like it's the worst thing going right now.
Yeah.
And guys, it's a 3% death rate right now.
Yeah.
The flu itself is 13%.
The flu
maybe not that big. But
it depends on what you look at. So if you look at overall cases, the flu is between 0.5. Sometimes it can be as high as 1, but it's usually like a decimal percentage of a percent, like a half, or let's just call it 0.5%. If they're sitting at 2%, that's 4 times as deadly. But all of the deaths, like if you look at it, it's all people with pre-existing conditions, or for the most part, I don't want to say all and misinform anybody, But DeSantis said in his press briefing today that one of the things coming out of China now is that out of all the cases they've had, they do not see anybody under the age of 15.
Really?
All the cases they've had. And so it's an age-related thing. It's a pre-existing condition-related thing. And I honestly think, because we just had the flu run through our house last year, all four of us ended up with a little bit of something. And it is almost like you just want to just roll over and keel over, you know? I mean, it is really bad. And so I can only imagine what this is for the people that get it. But the thing about what the media is doing is you have one outlet posting an op-ed that was written by a guy that was on the Princess Diamond, and he got it. And he said, the hardest part of it's been the quarantine. Other than that, it's been the flu. And then you've got another news outlet reporting a story from somebody else that said, it feels like my lungs are working overtime and all of this. And so everybody's focusing on these types of stories. And a lot of people are reporting the numbers, but it's the way in which the numbers are reported. And it's the way in which the stories are presented for how governments are responding and things like that, you know? And it's that tone and that spin that a lot of places, you know, Fox News, CNN, and everybody else insist on putting a spin on everything.
Yep.
And that's what I've really, really appreciated from the governor is, he says, we have 3 or 4 cases. We have a couple of presumed positives and we have a couple of definite positives. And he said all of them are tied back to travel to Italy and things like that. But the community risk right now is still low. That's the most objective assessment anybody can make of it right now. So wash your hands. Don't pick your nose. You know, don't lick anything. You know, it's the same kind of stuff you should always do during flu season. And I think that's the thing about this is if this was waterborne or, you know, if there were other transmission methods they were finding, it would be really, really scary at that point. But the fact that the same way to avoid this is the same way you avoid the flu, which is stuff you should be doing anyway, it is preventable. And I said to somebody the other day, nothing against the people of China, but we're America, right? And if China can find a way to contain this and keep it, and they're actually having an improvement in their numbers, we can do it too. It's just a matter of everybody working together. So
I agree. I want to say this, and I'm not saying there's a conspiracy. I'm not saying there's something going on.
Yeah.
But it seems like every other year, every 5 or 6 years, there's one of these. 2002, West Nile is going to kill us all. 2004, SARS is going to kill us all. 2006, bird flu. 2009, swine flu. 2014, Ebola. 2016, Zika. 2020, Kung flu. Coronavirus.
Yeah.
I mean,
so I always say,
not to sound Roy D. Mercer or I forget who this was. Wake up, America!
Wake up, America!
You know,
what was his name? Oh man!
Oh, now I got Google.
Yeah, now we got to figure that out. That's going to bother me. He had a P in his name or something. Oh, anyway, I always say about people, you know, when somebody in a position of authority like overreacts and does something just completely crazy to prove that they're the boss, you know, power's not power unless you use it. I think the media, you know, and I'll even say it, since 9/11, they have to be louder, they have to be brasher, they have to be, what is it? What's the name?
Earl Pitts. Pitts off.
American. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that you have to be louder. You have to be the one that everybody thinks they have to go to get their information from. And you scare people because if you don't scare them, they're not going to listen to your news anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just insane, man.
Oh, wow. So I just went down a rabbit hole.
Oh, no.
Earl Pitts was from Cincinnati.
Okay.
He was a fictional character performed by Gary Burbank, a radio personality from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay.
His last Pitts off was December 21st, 2007.
That was my birthday.
No, December.
Oh, December. Sorry, I thought you said September.
No.
Wow.
So Yankee did Pitts off.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That reminds me. You said Cincinnati, Ohio. That reminds me of Cleveland. Your wife is in Cleveland, is she not?
She just got back.
Did she see any active dumpster fires?
No.
She saw no active dumpster fires.
No active dumpster fires. But she saw a pretty...
I don't believe it.
Pretty shot of the bay.
The bay?
Well, there's one of the Great Lakes bays.
Lakes don't have a bay. Lakes are just a lake.
Okay. She saw a pretty shot of the Great Lakes. Whatever. Fine. It looks like a bay.
I want a picture of a dumpster fire if somebody goes to Cleveland. Without a dumpster fire, Cleveland's not Cleveland.
She was sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide beat Tuberville.
Wow, we're all the way back to that.
You like that throwback there? All right. Oh, I can we talk some more coronavirus or pants off, or do we want to just wrap it up?
I don't know. I think we've I'm impressed with the tightrope we were able to walk today.
Have we pissed off enough people?
I would like to quit while we're ahead.
You don't want to piss off anybody?
I really don't want to. And I don't want you to say that anymore, so let's wrap it up.
You want me to have a sex scandal on the show? By the way, I got no strings to hold me down. I've got enough juice in my headphones. Anyway, okay. You're frozen.
I'm not frozen. That was just as
Come on.
My son would say, Aiden, this is for you. That was cringy.
No, it wasn't.
That was cringy.
Fine. So, would you rather me have my bourbon juice or coffee before I record now?
Oh, I think I'm voting for the Blantons.
Voting for the Blantons.
Blantons in 2020, folks.
Eagle Rare Blanton's 2020. Actually, I'd probably go Weller. Blanton's Weller ticket. There you go.
Blanton's Weller? Yeah.
Yeah, Blanton's Weller.
If you went for a coffee ticket, you'd have to have, would Juan Valdez be the head of the ticket or the second on the ticket?
Second on the ticket.
Second, who would be the first?
Mr. Starbuck.
Howard Schultz. Is he still?
No,
just the Starbucks siren. So we would have just the siren, right? Because Juan Valdez was not a real man.
I take it back. My coffee ticket would be McDonald's Starbuck.
McDonald's.
I love McCafe coffee, man.
Oh, dude, you're killing me, man.
McCafe coffee is where it's at.
Ba-da-ba-ba.
No, okay, now the food is yes, but the coffee is where it's at.
It's not great.
You're the one that drinks unleaded coffee.
Yeah, but I still have standards. Come on.
I tasted your coffee.
What about it? Is it too bold for you, Dave?
No.
You're going to say nothing's too bold for Dave Adams.
No, not at all. Although I am a medium roast type guy, so I don't like the dark roast.
So you like coffee flavored water then? Okay.
No. Now, I don't put any cream or sugar. I like mine straight black.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
I don't. If you hand me a coffee cup, I don't go and get a milk jug and sugar. No. I want it straight black. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Yeah, I drink my coffee black too, except for at night, because my dessert now after supper is a cup of coffee, decaf, of course, with a sweet cream like Carnation Naturals. I can't remember what it's called. A Coffee Mate Naturals or something, but it's a sweet cream flavor. It is really good.
Get you a bourbon cream.
A bourbon cream?
They make them. They actually make them.
Earl Pitts bourbon cream?
Bourbon cream and pour it in the... Anyway. All right. So if you want to talk coffee, if you want to talk politics, if you want to talk anything, how would they get a hold of us, Mr. Russell?
They would dial the birth line at 650-UAB-SHOW. Spell it out on your keypad. Listen for the beep. Leave your message. We will play it on the show and discuss it and have a good time doing it.
We will. Also, check out our Twitter. I am at DAdams419. He is at RunTideRun. The show is at Not Related Bros on Instagram. The hosts are the same. The show is Unrelated Birth. Join our Facebook fan group. We are getting more people liking the show on Facebook. That's great. Give us a little thumbs up on there. Tell people to give us the 5 out of 5 stars. Recommend us. But also join the Facebook fan group. Kyle Gilbert today posted something about about cargo shorts. So it was a throwback to Adam wearing cargo shorts all the time.
Yeah.
So we post all fun things in there. I posted last week. Maybe it was this week. No, it was last week. The 90s are coming back. Super Soaker is going to start producing their Super Soaker guns again.
Yep.
So that's something we need to talk about here. Yeah, I'm excited. So guys, just join everything. We do have the Patreon, patreon.com/unrelatedbirth. If you feel so led, $5 a month. If we get $50, if we get 10 patrons, if we get birthers, what did Sherry want to call us? I forget. But if we get 10 birthers or unrelated birthers, siblings. There we go. Siblings. If we get 10 siblings, then we might throw in a couple of tiers. Like maybe a $5 tier and a $10 tier, and the $10 will do an extra Facebook Live or something like that. But there you go. We still have the contest. If you like and share last week's episode on Facebook and tag 3 of your friends, you're put in for a free shirt on Dalester.com. We're going to do that this week again. You can get up to...
So if they're listening to you now, what is the cutoff for that then, David?
I am thinking, so here in a couple of weeks, we're going to have 2 episodes, 2 weeks back to back, where we will not be able to do a true Facebook Live like we have doing, where they will be canned shows that we've done.
Yeah.
I think the first show of April will be the last one.
Okay.
That we're going to do that.
So we're going to hold it out there for a while then.
Yeah, we're going to hold that out there for a while. So technically, I think that's 4 or 5 chances to win a free shirt.
Cool. I love it.
If you haven't done it yet, go back last week and share and tag 3 of your friends.
Yeah, and seriously,
make sure.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Make sure they're 3 different friends.
Not the same friend 3 times.
3 different friends.
And no creating fake accounts either.
Right.
So if you don't have any inspiration to do that, if you don't feel led to do so, go to Dalester.com and check out their shirts. They're actually really cool.
They're really cool. I've got 2 of them already.
Yep.
But guys, we say it every week. We love you guys. We do truly mean it. The fact that you take an hour out of your day, some of you take an hour and 15 minutes out of your week because you listen to our live, and today's live was a little longer than normal, but you take an hour and 15, hour, 20, hour and a half to listen to us just ramble about crap.
Yeah.
We talked about politics and the coronavirus, but not really about politics and the coronavirus tonight. And it means a lot to us that you take time out of your day to listen to us. And we do love each and every one of you guys for doing that. So, guys, I'm going to do my spiel. We love you. We'll talk to y'all next week. Adam, take them home.
Yeah, we love you guys. Thanks for listening, but we don't love you as much as Jesus does. That didn't come out nearly as smooth as it usually does.
No,
start over.
Try that again.
We love you guys, but not as much as Jesus does. There we go. Thank you for listening. We will catch you next week. Don't forget to tag 3 friends. See you later, guys. So I just had a shirt idea sitting here.
Okay, hold up. Tell me in a moment. I got to pee. We don't have a good outtake this week, do we?
You just gave me one.